Breaking: Trey Gowdy pulls a move which will finally destroy Obama's shadow government. Representative Trey Gowdy is recently fully dedicated to providing the freedom and safety to each and every U.S. citizen. He, as well as most of us, want the shadow government to be gone for good. While on an interview on Fox News, Gowdy addressed some questions to the intelligence community. He asked who had access to the personal data of the Americans, and who was able to unmask them. Gowdy promised not to vote to reauthorize any kind of surveillance program until he gets real, sustainable answers about the shadow government, reports Real Clear Politics. It's high time we got some answers as to what's really going on behind the scenes. You have to give Gowdy props for stepping up, and doing what so many others are afraid to do, stand up to Obama's deep state spies. We've known for a while now that they were watching President Trump and his associates. The question remains, where are they lurking now? We have a hunch. Now that the election is over, the spies didn't go back into their holes to find peace and quiet. These shady criminals are still watching, and they're still listening. As Americans, we deserve to have a sense of safety and security. The Obama administration robbed us of that freedom. As it was revealed how long the intelligence community's hands were, we, the citizens, suddenly became concerned. The government has shown that it is not a problem for them to tape any of call at any time and then reveal your identity. When Gowdy spoke with Fox News, support for him rippled throughout the network, and onto the airwaves. Gowdy said, "We are not going to reauthorize these surveillance programs if the American people are not satisfied their security is going to be safeguarded." Gowdy went on to say, "I want to know who is making that request, what is the evidentiary basis of that request, and if it's late in your tenure, like the day before you leave office, that should send off alarms and sirens as to why that person did it." This speech was his way of calling out Obama without saying it directly. We all knew who he was talking about. Finally, someone stood up and tries to protect our privacy. Because right now, we basically have no privacy. Decision making sooner than we thought. The Supreme Court are closing on Trump travel ban. The U.S. Supreme Court wants this finished before vacation. Pushing the schedule for reassessing the Fourth Circuit Court's obstruction of President Trump's travel ban. Donald Trump made it clear with the power of law on March 6, that people from 6 Muslim-majority countries labeled as terror hotspots have forbidden access in the U.S. while the country implemented stricter vetting procedures regarding the state's security. Small group of immigrants alongside pro-immigration organizations issued lawsuits. In Maryland, a liberal federal district judge gave a preliminary injunction in a 10-3 decision, deciding the EO broke the Constitution's Establishment Clause, and was close to take a decision never witnessed before of all the court's judges hear the case, instead of giving it to a 3-judge team. The Justice Department demanded with a petition for review at the Supreme Court, and with its regulations, an answer from the plaintiffs would be scheduled for July 3. Until then the court will be on vacation, which means the justices would vote at the court's yearly pre-term conference that is due for September 25 related with the case, accepting it or not. This literally means hearing statements in December or January, with a verdict being made in the end of winter or somewhere in spring of 2018. Chief Justice John Roberts was recently asked by Jeff Wall, the acting Solicitor General at the Justice Department, to make the appellate court's decision till the judges can provide ruling on the issue. On Friday, the process started to quicken. The ACLU, which represents the plaintiffs, have ordered to issue their reaction by 3 p.m. on June 12. By that time the ACLU attorneys need to respond to the Justice Department's application for a stay. Then the court will be able on deciding on whether or not to take the case. With a normal briefing, the court would listen to statements in October, and a decision will be made by the end of the year. The Supreme Court can also come with a decision by June 12 if they could be quicker with briefing on an emergency basis and hold arguments throughout the summer, or if they willing in June, right before their summer break. The case is Trump v. International Refugee Assistance Project, number 16-1436. Finally, Jeff Sessions destroyed Ninth Circuit Court Democrats and sent a huge message to every American. Attorney General Jeff Sessions finally spoke up today and described what he exactly thinks about the Ninth Circuit Court. He sent a pretty concise message, and after his statement, Democrats should definitely be worried and start seeking a cover. The Ninth Circuit Court is the reason that Donald Trump's travel ban is shut. Sessions explained to all Americans that the executive branch actually has the duty to be the governmental branch which makes sure that the U.S. is secure, according to the Constitution. But actually, the court is obstructing and interjecting our president from executing his power, and that could result in a terrible way on our national security. Attorney General Sessions is correct on so many different levels with just that one piece of his statement. The executive branch does have the role of ensuring the overall safety of our nation. Two such measures are border security and immigration policy. If we are in a position where we need to seriously worry about who is coming into our country, the president is within his rights to take steps to make sure that we are as safe as we can be, especially considering the circumstances. The travel ban was meant to filter through people, to vet people, and make sure no one comes here who would do us any harm. Instead of recognizing it for what it is, the left decided they were going to make it all about their feelings. Every time you stop a terrorist from entering the country, babies cry, and all that jazz. The facts demonstrate that we do have something to worry about. For instance, there have been over 1,000 people murdered by Muslim extremists during the first half of their holy month of Ramadan. We have watched 3 attacks occur in London in under 30 days. Children have been murdered by savages, and the left thinks we should have open borders? Do they have an inkling of how deadly that decision could turn? Trump's travel ban is such a basic concept. We stop people from coming here for a while so we can figure out a proper vetting process to keep dangerous people out. Rather than looking at the real picture, the leftists are just poisoning us with words such as racist, Islamophobic, and so forth, comparing our president to Hitler. They just won't accept the fact that this is a serious issue, even though they are all witnesses to all of the terrorist attack happening over and over again. Fortunately and thankfully, Jeff Sessions is speaking up on our behalf, saying the truth we are all aware of. The Ninth Circuit Court had no authority howsoever to oppose the travel ban. The ban itself, nor any part of it, violates our Constitution or the rights of the ones that live in America. It is the Democrats who are causing troubles, willing to oppose each and every one who has a different opinion. Latest poll is in. President Trump's approval rating is unbelievable. President Trump's approval rating has decreased. The latest results of the Gallup survey revealed that only 36% of the voters think that Donald Trump's accomplishments are convenient, while 59% do not agree with his work. The good news is, this is not the lowest rate since the president had a huge drop, with his approval rating reaching down to 35% in March, but on the other side, it is still bad because this rating is way lower than it was during the previous month. Trump has ratings very contrasted compared to Obama's when he was a president. In this same time period, Obama had 60% of approval ratings, and his ratings started dropping in September 2011, which was his second year in the office. Trump's ratings are vividly different than Obama's during his first year in the office. In this same time period, he had 60% of approval ratings. Obama's ratings didn't drop until September 2011, his second year. Last week, main interest supposed to be on administration's plans to revamp the nation's infrastructure, but most of the headlines that White House released were focused on former FBI Director James Comey, who testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee Thursday. He stated that in his thought the reason for his ouster was the investigation into Russian meddling in the election. OMG. Terry McAuliffe's statement doesn't make any sense. On Wednesday, 66-year-old James Hodgkinson opened fire at a congressional baseball practice in Alexandria, Virginia. According to reports, Congressman Steve Scalise, RLA, was shot in the hip. One of Congressman Roger Williams's, RTX, staffers was shot, and 2 members of a protective detail were also injured. FBI is strongly working on the case, trying to reveal how the horrific event took place. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, D., made a statement about the shooting, but with different burden. After being asked if anything more needs to be done to protect politicians, McAuliffe said, "Let me say this. I think we need to more to protect all of our citizens. I have long advocated. This is not what today is about. But there are too many guns on the street. We lost 93 million Americans a day to gun violence. I mean, I've long talked about this. Background checks, shutting down gun loopholes. That's not for today's discussion, that's not just for politicians, we worry about this every day for all of our citizens." While it's clear that McAuliffe misspoke on the figures surrounding murders where the weapon of choice was a firearm, people didn't let him off the hook that easily. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe said today 93 million Americans are shot a day. Act check, not true. Entire country would be dead in a week. David Hookstead, at Hookstead, June 14, 2017, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe said today 93 million Americans are shot a day. Fact check, not true. Entire country would be dead in a week. David Hookstead, at Hookstead, June 14, 2017, VA Governor Terry McAuliffe talking about gun control. Too many guns, he says. A gun stopped the shooter. My God. Liz Wheeler, at Liz_Wheeler, June 14, 2017, and of course, Governor Terry McAuliffe goes for more gun control as Republicans attacked say they had only baseball bats to defend selves. Katie Pavla, at Katie Pavla, June 14, 2017, authorities that responded to the scene exchanged gunfire with Hodgkinson. It wasn't until that point that the suspect was wounded, neutralizing the threat. He later died of his injury. Trey Gowdy questions ATF agent, makes him expose 3 enormous Obama secrets. Trey Gowdy, a congressman from South Carolina, is kicking tail once again. Now, he destroyed an ATF special agent and made him confess something Obama won't like. Lately, Gowdy was questioning John Dodson, an ex-ATF special agent. Finally, we realized that there was no one who was not aware of Fast and Furious, but that was not opposed since as it got in the higher political chains, it got more funding, more approval, and more attaboys. Gowdy kicked the tail as he stated that that was the stupidest idea he had ever heard. Operation Fast and Furious was supposed to supply guns and money to Mexican drug cartels. The idea was to keep track on the weapons and then catch the tops of the cartel. We can't help but wonder if the goal wasn't getting more gun violence to occur in the United States so that the Obama administration could attempt to ban guns. If you recall, during the Obama administration we heard the left crying that we need to ban all guns to keep our country safe. Ironically, President Trump has not uttered that statement yet, and never will. Gowdy started by asking simple, open-ended questions. As he got more specific, you could see Dodson physically squirming because he knew that the jig was up. We are supposed to have a set rule about giving things like guns and money to dangerous people, even if it's for the greater good. The consequences for such behavior are devastating. Dodson admitted that they knew this wasn't the norm. So if they were aware of the dangers this presented, why did they continue with it as if it were gospel? Dodson continued to confess that everyone in his circle of command was aware and supported the measures of the operation. Dodson added up, "I always thought as soon as we got to the next level, somebody's going to shut it